We are delighted to welcome you to our webinar, Google My Business, Optimization and New Trends. I am Shishir, Country Manager, Partoo India, and I'm today accompanied by Patricia from the marketing team and Rohit Chauhan, Local SEO Expert, Partoo India. I want to take a minute today to acknowledge the presence of some familiar names on this webinar. Special thanks to all of you for being here. I see our agency partners, some of our clients, a lot of prospects that we are talking to. Oh yeah, wait, I think I also see some candidates that have applied for jobs with us. Great work there. Well, let's start off if you're all ready. First up, we want to start by thanking each one of you for taking the time today to be with us. We are super glad that you joined us, and we will try and make the next 30 minutes a valuable learning experience for each one of you. Now, in the next 30 minutes, we will talk about a few topics, specifically 3 topics. First, what's Google My Business? Why is this important for your digital strategy? Second, a quick recap on how to optimize your Google My Business listings. Third, some of the new trends or functionalities that we have seen appear in the past months. All that said, please do not hesitate to ask your questions in the chat box. We have indeed saved some time at the end of the discussion to try and answer each one of those questions. We'll also be adding a few polls throughout the webinar to try and make this as engaging as possible. You would be able to find the polls and other options on the top right side of your screen. Now, to start off with the crux of the matter, and before I do that, let me launch a poll for each one of you. The question, so basically this poll is a 2-part question. The first part is, are you working on your GMB listings? Now, GMB is what we're going to call Google My Business or Google Business Listings, as some of you call it yourselves. We'll be shortening it and calling it GMB, just so you know. So there should be a poll now. The question is, are you working on your GMB listings? The second part of the poll, the second question would then be, if yes, how are you working on it? Let us know what you do on GMB, and we will take you through everything that you need to know about GMB today. Now, the basics of optimization. What is GMB? In order to put ourselves in a better context and understand what GMB is all about, we need to know a little bit about this tool. Although it seems to have been around for a long time now, actually, it was just created in 2014. So it's relatively new, right? We also know that it is continuously reinventing itself in order to create a better user experience. A clear example of this has been the work that they have developed. When I say they, I mean Google, over the past few months, during which a few functionalities have appeared and have been established, exactly what we're going to talk about today later on. The fact remains that Google has been super reactive in terms of better adapting the information on the internet to this situation. The process of launching new functions on Google My Business is pretty simple. And here's what they do. They carry out a test on one single sector, mostly in the US. If they obtain good results, they try other sectors. And if they continue to work on these sectors, a new functionality is officially launched and rolled out and activated around the world. With all that said, now let's look at the evolution part of things. What's really behind GMB? Earlier, during the early days of this tool, Google's search results were presented in a very different way as compared to how it appears today. Some of you might know it, and some of you are very new to this tool may not know it. Earlier, it would appear very simply as 10 blue links, right? Now, the knowledge graph, if we were to talk about the knowledge graph, now we see some small boxes that appear to the right of the results when the user performs a particular search. There's a concept of a position 0. Position 0 are results that appear before the first organic results appear. For example, the concept of a local pack. And on some of our calls, we have presented this to you, the three pack solution, or the first three best referenced results that appear on Google Maps after a specific search. Do not forget, all of these things tie back to the concept of local SEO, right? Now, this concept is also known as non-click searches. And this part today represents about 60% of all the searches made on Google, right? Today we need to talk to you about another important concept. According to a recent Nielsen eye tracking study, there has also been a change in the behavior of users on the internet when they read these search results. Where previously the trend was for pages to be displayed in a linear fashion, that is from left to right, today we are faced with a much more random pattern known as pinball, in which the user directs their gaze according to what is most appealing and attractive to their eye. Now that this has been explained, we understand a few other things. Three things to be specific. Point number one, users expect that they with the first search, they have answers. That is, the information is clear and synthesized. At this juncture, I do want to mention one thing about Google and Facebook. Google and Facebook, as a collective search engine units, are now moving towards becoming more of an answer engine rather than just being search engines. We'll elaborate on this point in just a bit. The second point that we learned from this is the users will be guided by what's most attractive to their eyes. You could talk about structured information, quality photographs, completeness of information, and so on. Third, above all, the importance of having complete, consistent, correct, and up to date information. Now that we know a little bit about how users search on the internet, we must think, what can we do so that the user decides to take our business into account? To do this, we'll have to follow a few steps. Something similar to what I'm going to say now. First, how to optimize my brand's visibility, how to present my offer, and how to attract more traffic. Right? At this juncture, I'm very happy to invite my colleague Rohit Chauhan to take us through one big chunk of our webinar, and I'll be back very soon. Now, over to you, Rohit. Welcome. Take it away.
Thank you, Shishir, for the brief introduction to the basic of GMB. Now, moving forward, as we all agree that GMB is the most important online listing for any local business, claiming and optimizing your GMB listing is critical not only for getting new customers, but helping customers repeat business with you again. Knowing that today your GMB listing are the digital showcase of your retail outlets, their information is essential, and making sure that they are correct, complete, and consistent can increase your store footfalls. According to a recent survey done by Moz, 46% of the searches carried out on Google by users are local searches. For example, fast food near me or burger near me. This is a very significant data since it implies the need for the brands to position themselves in relation to the keywords that can better define their business activity. In this case, categories describe your activity in broad terms. So the first thing to do to get found and picked on Google searches is to optimize your GMB listings. With that being said, one of the most important aspect of GMB is picking the right primary category. Only your primary category will be visible on your GMB listing, but subcategories will inform whether or not your listing is surfaced for local queries. So they are very important too. And just to be clear, Google allows a brand to add one primary category and up to 9 subcategories on GMB listings. So therefore, one must use this feature wisely. And in order to choose the primary category for your business, we recommend you to choose the most relevant sector your business is in. For example, futurely future generally life insurance, which is one of our client. Their primary category is insurance, as they provide different kinds of insurances. Similarly, the subcategories are the different types of insurances they offer. For example, health insurance, home insurance, and many more. Now, in order to sum up, we would recommend you to choose your primary category most relevant to the sector your business is in, and your subcategories should comprise different products and services your business offer. Now, moving forward, the second most important thing after categories is to choose the most relevant attributes to your business. Now that many businesses are making use of GMB listings and customers are expecting more from their search results, now is the right time to go above and beyond and bringing customers through your door. With GMB attributes, you can present specific details about your business that can distinguish you from competitors. Attributes are the special things that make your business unique and worth a first and fifth visit. In the past, attributes were simply a collection of keywords that Google used to pull from your listing reviews. But now, you can add these searchable keywords all by yourself from the GMB backend. One should choose GMB attributes most relevant to the sector their business is in. For example, Tanglemalaya Jewelry, which is one of our clients in India, uses wheelchair accessibility as one of their attributes. Beside this, since the beginning of the pandemic, Google's algorithm has also started favoring and pushing only those listings which has a special attribute called health and safety, where a business can mention all the initiatives taken by them to ensure full safety of customers who are either visiting their business location or ordering products or services from them. To be more precise, there are two main types of attributes. The first one is objective attributes that business can directly add from their GMB back office. For example, Wi-Fi availability, mandatory mask required, safety drive checks, etc. And the second one is subjective attributes, which is powered by Google's algorithm through the opinions or reviews received by the businesses. Now, after fully optimizing your categories and attributes, the next important step is to add quality pictures of your business on GMB listings. And before we proceed further, we have added a poll. And the question is, have you indicated any of the following attributes on your GMB listings? We'll really appreciate if you can participate in it as well. So now moving forward with photos, to get the most out of this GMB feature and increase your chances of converting searches, Google recommends business to upload quality photos of their establishment and product they offer. In fact, to get the most out of it, one should at least upload three exterior and interior photos taken at different times of the day and showing the approach to the business from a common angle. Now, moving forward, this chart illustrates that establishments with 100 plus photos appeared 7 times more in indirect searches than those with a less than 50 photos, which is a significant number. And to sum it up, we recommend you to add more photos of your business establishment and also encourage customers to post their N as well. Last but not the least, the most crucial information on GMB listing is the operational hours, which indicates the exact hours in which your business is either open or closed. But why is it important? It's no brainer that today, in such a fast changing environment, especially following COVID, it's a crucial to keep your business related information up to date so that your customers are well aware about everything related to your business establishment. For example, opening and closing hours. Here you'll have to think about implementing exceptional hours as well, which will help your business to indicate that either they are open or closed during certain dates, which was mainly meant for bank holidays. But with COVID, it has become the most updated feature on the listing. Now, moving forward, we have added a couple of more polls. So the first one is, do you indicate your exceptional hours, bank holidays on your GMB listings? If yes, how often do you update this information? Now that we have seen the basic information that you need to update on your GMB listings, Moving forward to talk about new trends in GMB, I would like to pass on the mic to Shishir. Over to you, Shishir, now.
Thank you. Thanks a ton, Rohit. At this stage, I want to acknowledge a question by Mahima. Where exactly do you find attributes on GMB? Uh, if you were to log in onto your backend, one of the options that you will find is service options. And this is exactly how attributes would appear on a listing as well. At some point, we'll try and send you a video on how to access this Mahima. Let us know if that helps. So, how to find it? Service options. All right. Now, coming back to the topic of discussion, new trends. Thanks a lot, first of all, Rohit. It's a good transition for me to take from what you spoke onto something that's new and unheard of by many of our prospects and clients. Following what Rohit just mentioned about building a strong relationship with your customers, there is a new trend about Google Messages. Some of you might have already seen this. Some of you I know have activated it and trying things out on your own GMB listings. I see a few names that we have discussed this with. Well, for the others, let's look at how this works first. By enabling the option of GMB or Google Messages on your GMB app or desktop back office, a message button would appear on your tab when it's consulted from mostly a mobile phone, like how you see on your screen right now. This feature, along with questions and answers, which has been here for quite some time now, both together is a concrete illustration of a trend that will soon become increasingly important when we talk about local SEO. What is this concept? The concept is called conversational commerce, a trend that needs to be taken into account in your local SEO strategy in the coming years. This feature will now allow your store managers to save a lot of time by not answering a lot of phone calls, instead, addressing things on messages. Take yourselves, for example. Let me take my own example. After having had a very long day on phone calls, and rightly so, I probably will choose to trigger a chat with a business that I need information from rather than get onto a phone call. Most of us, the baby boomers, the millennials, we follow the same trend. And that's one of the reasons why Google Messages will soon become the most important trend. A very important point to note here is that earlier the responder or an executive on your end would have to download the app to respond to messages. But now this works on your desktop app too. So you don't really need to have the app installed on your mobile phone. Well, at this stage, time for another poll. The question is simple. Would you activate Google messaging on your GMB listings? Simple question, uh, mostly like a yes or a no, sort of a of an answer. If it's a no, we would like to know why, but we'll probably do that after the webinar as part of our follow up. Right now, the next feature, Google Posts by API. Again, going back to the participants on this webinar, some of you could be familiar with the argument that we made when we spoke about this initially a few months ago, where we said Google Post through an API is not possible unless it's a COVID-19 post, right? But that has changed. You need to know this. I'm sure most of you will be happy about this. Let me explain this a little bit more. Before, as per policy, at Google, branches had to post Google Post individually with only one exception, which is COVID-19 posts. Now, the change that has come up is that mass publications are now allowed for all of your branches at the same time through the usage of API. Now, how great is that? If there is anything else that we want to discuss about this, we'll be happy to take questions. So please keep the questions coming in. But at this stage, I'm going to move on to the next feature, which is Google Phone and SMS. Earlier, or probably even now, if you see on GMB, if you launch the call button, the only option for now is to place a phone call to the business. Keep in mind, this is a brand new feature, not yet rolled out in India. And those countries that have this feature, they're also running on a beta version of this. It goes back to our point on how new features are rolled out by Google. They're trying this out. I'm sure this will succeed, and when it succeeds in these countries, it will soon come back to India as well. Now, how does this work? When you click on the call tab, two options will appear now. First is to make a phone call, pretty obvious. The second and the new option will be to send an SMS, a complimentary service, very similar to Google messaging. If you have questions, if you want us to elaborate on this one, you're most welcome. The next important thing that we would like to talk about today, we know that there are some participants that belong to the food and beverage industry. Although I'm going to talk about the importance of ratings for restaurants, it in one way or the other is also important to all other sectors. So I'm taking restaurants as an example because we are all aware of how the food sector works in the country. Now, the rating of restaurants and cafes are appearing in Google Maps, making the users search faster and easier while searching for any type of this business within this sector. Now, why is this important? Imagine shopping on Amazon. The first thing that we would look for is the average rating, right? Now, because users are now searching on Google Maps, will now be able to see this information and make quicker decision based on the rating of these businesses. All of that is obviously linked to a concept called e-reputation, a part which Rohit presented to you a while ago, and it will definitely affect the traffic to your restaurant. Expanding that argument, it will definitely affect the traffic to any of the businesses we are talking about. Now, 93% of internet users, and a staggering amount, look at reviews before visiting an establishment. And 52% of internet users do not consider entering an establishment with a rating lower than 4. This next thing that I'm going to quote as an anecdote is something that I've used on many of my calls with some of you. It's said that a rating which is around 4.4 has the same effect on you as a parent of yours recommending a service to you. Now, if my father were to come and say to me, go to brand X, which is a restaurant, I would probably abide by what he's saying and go there. It seems that 4.4 and above, a rating above 4.4, has the same effect. And that's why most of the businesses are now targeting a rating, an average rating of anything more than 4.4. A very important tab in the US, which has now come up, is food ordering tab, which is being rolled out in many different ways in India. So if you are a restaurant and if this is something that you're interested in, get in touch with us. We'll elaborate on this a little bit more. Now, a super interesting point on gas station pricing. On the next slide, we'll talk about this. This probably will be one of the last things that we're going to talk about. So if you have questions, please do keep them coming in. A new trend that we have seen in different countries is that gas station pricing. Now, Google listings of gas stations, internet users are now able to see what the price per liter of gas is. Not only that, compare this pricing with other gas stations and make an informed choice. Especially in India, when this feature comes in, it'll be super important for us to know what the pricing is, which more or less now we'll realize only if we are abreast with a newspaper or we land in one of the gas stations only to find out that what was 99 rupees yesterday is now 105 rupees, right? So with so many gas companies coming in, and we saw one of the articles as of today from the ministry in India, that six more companies, private companies, are going to get into this business. So it's going to become a competitive world. If you are a client, I'm sure you'll use this feature. If you are a gas station, let's help you out, right? One very important thing for you to know is the control of this information is currently not in the hands of the gas stations themselves. The information is being picked up from a third party called Gas Buddy, and anything that's listed on Gas Buddy is directly picked up and updated on GMB. When control comes back to you, the business owner, I think it's going to be more interesting. Now, in conclusion, as we said in the beginning, Google has become your digital showcase. And that is why it's super important for you to give out complete information, consistent and correct information, along with it being up to date. This is mostly like a customer acquisition and a retention tool, not just an information source anymore. And finally, GMB's reactivity and its constant launches of new functionalities with which it proposes to improve customer experience is of utmost importance. And that's why we should not just be present, but also be active, reactive, and optimize your listings. Now, for those of you who didn't know about us up until now, a quick reminder of who we are at Partoo. First of all, thank you for each one of you for your attention during this webinar. We will open up things for questions, but as a very quick reminder, we at Partoo are Partoo India. We are based in Mumbai. What we do is help you with your local SEO. Let's probably break a little bit and look at the questions, if at all there are any.